Hi, this is Amy with Toolbox Tarot, and I'm here to do a tarot reading for Monday, December 31st through Sunday, January 6th, 2019. And the card I pulled for this week is the Six of Cups. I'm riffing on the reading, or piggybacking on the reading that I did last week. Looking at the first position. So thinking about 2019 and preparing a way into thinking about and engaging with our internal life and our spiritual life. So we're just going to look at position number 1. So I pulled the Six of Cups when I was thinking about that position. And again, the question is thinking about how to find inroads into building the kind of relationship with yourself or engaging with your spirit in the coming year. And the Six of Cups, the element for cups is water. And the Six of Cups in particular talks about looking back at happy times in your life and being willing to embrace a former self, a former, like the inner child thing. Sometimes that concept is a little bit a little bit overused for me, but what does being childlike mean? It's about a sense of discovery. It's about a sense of wonder. It's about showing up to investigate. Certainly children are people, and people like to spend time with things that they already understand, but children accept that they don't already understand, and they're just very curious. So I think the first thing that we can gain from looking at the Six of Cups, or the wisdom that we can gain from looking at the Six of Cups, is the wisdom that says, invites you to approach your inner life with wonder. One of the benefits of being an older person is knowing yourself, and I really value that, but having a firm idea about what you already know definitely becomes a prison, and it ends up limiting you. And we certainly don't want to do that to ourselves. That's not a kindness. So right here is the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot card, which is a seminal deck that most of these that I have here, most of the decks that I have here are in some way making a nod to this particular deck. So let's take a look at this card in particular. We've got two children here. There's a gift being passed, beautiful flowers. They're in a walled garden. It's a sunny day. There's a sweetness to it. So this card might ask you, how can you become reacquainted with your past self? How can you have a reunion with your past self? And how does your relationship with yourself now differ from the relationship that you had with yourself when your approach to life was simpler. This card is from the Slow Holler deck, and it's like a curio cabinet that someone's collected these things, mementos of their past, things that they were interested in at different times in their life. And if you came across a medicine cabinet and you found elixirs or, remedies that you'd mixed up that were now covered with dust, would they have lost their potency, or would they be dangerously potent? So thinking about the Six of Cups in regard to building a relationship, or digging into your relationship with yourself and your spirit, are there things that you've kept that have become dusty that you haven't pulled out and looked at? Are there things that that were really potent in the past that you continue to expect to make you happy, that you might re-examine and think about, and maybe they would bring you happiness again, or maybe you're chasing something that made you happy at another time in your life that no longer will, or maybe something that made you feel really engaged in spirit in the past that no longer does. This one, I think I know we pulled this card recently. In this context, it would be, I feel like when I think about this card, it seems like these people are connecting, but in a really benign way. It makes me think about when my parents were getting a divorce. My dad and I played cards a lot. We played gin rummy, and I don't know how that started, but it was really helpful because we were able to look at the cards and focus the front part of our mind on the cards and still be together without wading into dangerous water. It was simplifying, but it also was we were engaged in something together. So, are there ways that you can do that with your spirit? If your spirit is bruised right now, or if your relationship with yourself is unkind, is there a way that you can sidle up with yourself, connect with yourself in a fun or lighter way that will help you to at least be in a relationship with yourself or your spirit? Let's see. This is the Fountain Tarot, and something about this, when I first looked at it, it was making me think about a shell or a spiral, and the Heart and Hands did that as well. I like this one because the record player, obviously that's a really great tool. Music is a great tool for reconnecting with a different time in your life. If you listen to music that you used to love, that you haven't heard in a long time, that certainly does bring you back. But the spiral makes me think of kind of falling into a fuzzy area that's, I guess the whole thing with water is it's not about being sharp. It's about finding the shape that, what does water do? It takes the shape of the vessel that it's in. And so One of the things about being in relationship with yourself and honoring your relationship with yourself is allowing your feelings to take whatever shape they take. It's not necessarily about being sharp, like a sword, or going anywhere, making anything happen. It's about being. This right here, this card makes me think about how nourishing water is, and about where are we going to, what are we going to feed with our emotions? What are we going to give nourishment to? What vessels are we going to pour this vital, fluid into? I had a talk with Shay, my sister Shay, just a minute ago, and we were talking about how, when you're a little kid and you wake up in the middle of the night and you're just so thirsty and you go into the sink and you get a glass of water and it's so cold and the water just tastes sweet and it's just so welcome and so essential and life-giving. And the Six of Cups asks you to think about how you can find that water again. And remember that water, your spirit, your creativity, your sense of wonder, all those things are healing and soothing and comforting. And being aware that nostalgia can also be dusty. And this card is from the Hidden Realm, Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And this is a story deck. The card has the same basic meaning as the other decks, but the story deck asks you to be gentle with yourself when you're looking back. Sometimes you have painful memories from your past, and you can really choke on them. And that's the opposite of being replenished about your emotions. But also you might have an overly sentimental idea of the past that you compare your current difficulties to this over rosy idea of the past, and that also can choke and be the opposite of what water should be in your life. This is the Gypsy Palace Tarot, and she looks like she might be looking back on her past and maybe being damaged by a memory of happier times that might be oversimplified. So I did write down some questions. What made you happy as a child? Would it make you happy now? Or is that something that you're chasing that no longer feeds you, no longer brings you joy, even though you think that it should? How can we approach our spiritual life with a childlike quality? How can we be innocent? How can we be full of wonder? How is your relationship with your spiritual life childish or outdated? Are you too attached to the spirituality of your youth? Is it nuanced enough? Is it personal enough to really engage you and to bring that sweetness of that midnight cold tap water that just really replenishes your soul, for lack of a better way to say it. You could tell how uncomfortable I was to say that. How can we become reacquainted with ourselves in a way that we jump out of narratives that we have going? What kind of happy reunions can we recruit? What kind of happy reunions can we create with our past selves? And Shay pointed out how the Six of Cups could be an invitation to doing shadow work. And I feel like a lot of the things that come up when you look at these cards invite you to think about, digging in and investigating parts of yourself that you historically have had a hard time with, that you might need to go back and give some love to, or at least your attention, so that you can embrace them and accept that that's part of who you are, and also make sure that they don't take over because you're not paying attention. I sure did have a lot more thoughts on this, but I think that this is a long enough video. So hopefully, thinking about the Six of Cups, you can use the tool of looking back and reflecting in all the different ways that these different cards invite you to look back and reflect. Taking the warning of not getting lost, and recognizing that things that used to be treasures might be old dusty relics at this point that no longer, quench your thirst. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I hope that you have a really happy new year, and I hope that you'll accept this invitation to think about what the Six of Cups has offered us. Love you. Take care. Bye.